Right, Christy, what you got?
So we have a flow hive that's the super section of it is coming to our honey room. As you can see, it is propolised. I've already cleaned up all of this. I've got half, a bucket with propolis in it. And what's happened is that basically they can't get the mechanisms to move because everything's propolised closed. And so now we have to try get all the propolis off and see if we can't lift the frames out and do a manual spin, which I'm not sure if we're going to be able to do. But this is a very good example of why this type of flow, hive, etc. doesn't really work so well for our bees. It's a nice novelty and it'll work for the first year or so, but as soon as the weather starts getting cold, the propolis all hardens and then the mechanisms don't want to move. So yeah, this should be interesting, seeing how we can get this all out and get it sorted out. But
so, plan of action?
Well, to start
Take one.
with,
Try and get one out.
we're just gonna try and loosen one of the frames out of here, and once we've got one out, we should be able to maneuver everything
Wiggle
else.
the others, and then once the frame's out, then try and see if we can.
Yeah, if we can uncap it and spin it like we would a normal frame. I'm not sure. Yeah, we literally just in the dark. Yeah, we're gonna try our best.
Or maybe try and, what about steaming? Someone once said use a bit of steaming to loosen the propolis. And
I suppose you could do that. The only problem is steam is putting moisture in your honey. So that's also not the best thing.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm not sure. For this moment, while it's nice and hard, we're just getting all the propolis off that we can. And then we'll have a look from there and see how we go.
Doesn't look like this has been touched for a while, or what do you think? How long do you think it's been?
You know what the problem is that often as beekeepers we don't clean off the propolis because it's not a hindrance
They want
for
it.
us. Yeah, they need it. But the thing is, when it gets cold, they start putting a lot more around the hive as part of the insulation as well. So yeah, but I mean, if you look here, it's right into the crevice. It's joining the frames together completely.
Yeah.
So
Fine.
yeah. Anyway, we're going to use some inventive tools, I'm sure, and see if we can get this sorted out.
Maybe it might be worthwhile unscrewing the box on the screws if we don't
might
come
have
right.
to do that. But let's first see if we can't just remove the frames as is.
Okay, fantastic.
Cool. If
Looking
you've got
for
any
photographs.
ideas or some suggestions, pop them in the comments. We'd be happy to hear what you think we should be doing.
I think we've swapped out about 4 flow hives this year so far, where people have asked for normal
supers.
supers instead, hey?
Yeah, that's true, because it's just so much simpler.
And at the end of the day, when it comes to flow hives, you still need to manage your brood box, don't you?
Yes,
because
you
people
do.
think it's now automatic hive.
They think it's honey
on tap, yeah.
Which is, it is the first year. And then after that, it starts getting a bit more challenging.
Yeah.
So, I think very carefully before you purchase a flow hive. And find an idea of what you're going to do when this happens. Because it will happen. So, I've managed to loosen this one on either side. Now, I'm going to just try and tilt it and from below push it out. So, let's see if this works. Look at that. Ta-da. Okay. Sure, but I mean on this side, look at all this propolis and stuff. You can see why those mechanisms don't want to move. Look at all the propolis on the top sections here.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So now basically those cells, what they do is they shift up and down.
Yeah, to basically break the unit.
Yeah.
But obviously, with all the propolis, I mean, on the side, as soon as it's basically glued closed.
Yeah. And I don't see much honey in here,
No, this one doesn't have, but the next one over does.
Okay.
Let me see if I can. Notice my adaptive tools. Okay, this side is quite stuck.
What are these wires for on top here?
That's what pulls the cells apart.
Pulls the?
The cells apart. So this one.
Oh wow, there's a bit of capped honey,
there's a bit of honey there.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's quite old. And on the other side as well.
Okay, so you could spin this now, essentially.
Yeah, I think, we're going to try, because also I don't know if they're going to fit in our spinner, because they're so wide.
Yeah, maybe put it in the big spinner.
Yeah. Anyway, but we're making progress. Cool. Send us your comments. Cheers for now.